G'day people, welcome back to the channel to today's review, which is something different and rather special. So yes, this is a piece from Ulysse Nardin, the first one I featured, and I think the highest price piece that I've ever featured on the channel. And so Ulysse Nardin, for horology enthusiasts, is not a new name for sure. It is a very well respected name as far as I have read and talking to people about Ulysse Nardin. They are a company established in the mid-19th century, so 1846, and most well known for making very accurate marine chronometers, and they certainly do seem to make very accurate watches, as if this is any guide. So I'm not going to talk too much more about the company. You know, if you love watches, you would definitely know about them. But if you don't, you know, this may be something new for you to explore into. Okay, so this piece is none other than the Ulysse Nardin Classico manufacturer Grand Feu. This is what this watch is. This is the blue model. It does come in white and black as well in this particular model variation. The MSRP for this watch is 14,100 Australian dollars. This is the listed MSRP. I believe the Swiss franc price is 8,008 or thereabouts, and any other confirmation and product listings I'll put down at the bottom for you to explore. All right, let's get into the movement of this particular watch. So the movement is none other than a in-house manufacture caliber UN 320. So the stats down the left of screen here I'll put. So high jewel count, 39 jewel count, so not easy to achieve that. They really have packed in quite a lot of jewels here with a high power reserve, and that comes in because of a couple of special features of this particular movement. And one is the silicon hairspring, which allows not to be magnetized, at least not the hairspring bit, and therefore achieve higher accuracy. The other is the silicon Ulysse Nardin anchor escapement, and that really is another special feature here, because that has specific characteristics that allows this to firstly not require any lubrication because of the nature of silicon. It allows you to build a slimmer movement because no bridge is needed over the escapement. This is my understanding in reading about this. And it also has less energy loss because of the configuration of the anchor escapement and how it kind of stores its own energy from the back and forth movement, as well as, of course, also being non-magnetic, therefore allowing greater accuracy with it never being able to be magnetized in any way. So I'll tell you, the rated accuracy of this watch is not really known, but in use, in hand, in the week that I've had it, plus 1 second per day, it is awesomely accurate, superlatively accurate, I would say. And that's really what I have found it, as well as the results in putting it on the Time Grapher app. This movement has a quick set date, and it is here implemented at the 6 o'clock position, black writing on white disc, which is a bit of a small gripe here, because you'd think that maybe they should have gone for a blue disc to match the rest of the dial, but that's a minor thing here. Another thing about this movement, I'll tell you right now, and you might kind of cringe when you see people do this, but I have this on good authority that this is a built-in feature. So 7 on the date there, I'm going to change it to 8. Okay, 8 there, wind it across, and then what I'm going to do now is something that you should never do unless you're sure about your movement, is wind it back, and you can wind it back. And that is just awesome. No other movement I've had, at least not a three-hander, is able to do that. But this particular in-house caliber allows you to go backwards. Apparently, you can't really stuff it up by doing that in any way, unlike other movements. Okay, so that's the movement there. Let's talk about the case now. The case here is 40 millimeter diameter. It is a 316L steel case, not something like 904. It is 316L steel. 10.2 millimeters thick, which is very, very pleasing. It is not a thick watch by any means. It's pretty nicely thin. 20 millimeter in between the lugs there, and the lug to lug distance, which is quite short because of the way these lugs are configured, 44.5 millimeters. Very pleasing. Overall weight 66 grams because it is on the leather strap, so it is actually pleasingly light on the wrist at that weight. Finishing wise, as I panned it around, you've seen it, fully polished. Okay, this case is fully polished, deliberately so for this dress style, and that's really what they have gone for. Okay, it's got the formed streamlined lugs. You can see the lugs there, pretty streamlined and kind of goes downwards there, so it's pretty nicely hugging the wrist with it not sticking out. That's really a nice thing about this, I think. And then number plate there, you can see attached to the side of the watch is actually brush finishing. So that's a kind of the numbering for this particular piece here. The case back, right, sapphire display case back is screw secured, right? You can see the 6 screws around there. It's not a screw down display, and that's fine for a dress piece like this. Look at that beautiful movement with that beautiful rotor. The sea waves on that rotor, which is a UN theme there that you can see there. So push-in crown with the screw-in or screw-secured case back, the water resistance is a nominal 30 meters, which is absolutely fine by my book for very much ostensibly a dress piece like this. Okay, let's move on to the dial, and this is really where a lot of the action is. This is the Grand Feu dial, Émail Grand Feu, I think that's how I say it. So, Émail down the bottom here is not, because this is a smartwatch, because it's not by any means. This is actually enamel in French, and Grand Feu is great fire, and that is the technique by which this dial is created. Very, very labor intensive. They have to apply by hand the enamel powder, fire it several times in a kiln up to around 800 degrees. Each step there is a risk of breakage. So, and there is a rejection rate, and this can be up to 90% in Lange. I don't know what UN does, but because of that, that's why it is such a costly and labor intensive thing to do. Why would they bother to do that? Well, it's because you're left with an enamel dial which has a luster which is like none other, the depth of color, and also it's unalterable. It never changes, and apparently you can find centuries old enamel, which is the same as the day that it was created. It never changes, and that's part of why you might fight to create enamel. All right, it's got a guilloche wave pattern underneath that enamel surface. You can see it in the macro shots and whatnot that I'll put up here. It does have printed details, so it's kind of a transfer print process, which gives this classic sharp white printing. Everything else printed, no applied elements on this dial. Railroad chapter ring around the outside, so classical features that you can see on this dial here. The hands are polished leaf style hands with loom just only on the large hands. There is an oversized second in the 6 o'clock position there, but that is not loomed, and of course I will put a loom shot right here for you to appreciate how it looks like. On top of the dial is a dome sapphire, and it's got some anti-reflective treatment for sure on that, as you can see me pan it around here. So dome sapphire crystal around the top there. Okay, so that's the case here. Moving on to the strap. This is a blue leather strap, and it doesn't say ostensibly or explicitly that it's crocodile, but if I look at that pattern here, I would guess that it is crocodile, and at this price range, I would definitely want it to be croc leather rather than cow leather. Okay, but if you know more about leather than I do, let me know if you know for sure this is croc leather. Just a simple tang buckle is what this is, and just a little anchor there for the UN logo. So very nice and demure in terms of styling. And if you look at the way it sits along the watch, that has to be curved spring bars. You can't achieve that look and those short lugs with straight spring bars. Okay, that's another thing they've fitted in here. All right, let's put it on for the wrist shot for you guys now. And there we have it, guys. There is the Ulysse Nardin Classico manufacture Grand Feu blue dial with enamel, on my 17 centimeter wrist. Absolutely classical proportions, 10 millimeters, so quite thin, and only 44 millimeters on lug to lug. So it fits very nicely. I've got matching blue today to go with the watch. All right, guys, so that's the description of this beautiful piece. What have I really appreciate about this? Well, look, I think it is obviously a superlative piece. Apparently with the Grand Feu dial, it is actually one of the most affordable Grand Feu dials you can find. I'm not sure about that, but that's what some sources have reported. And there are different types of enamels, croissant being one, I think, and various other methods. And Yuan has been able to achieve this because they have integrated a very famous dial manufacturer. I think the name is Donze Croissant. They've actually integrated that into their company now, so they're able to produce kind of in-house enamel dials via that company's skills. And really what a gorgeous dial it is. I mean, the luster, the depth, the change in color tones. I mean, sometimes this even looks a bit purple depending on how the light falls on it. And I'll let you see now, you know, just changing the angles here, you're getting all sorts of different hues and tones on this dial here. And it's really quite special. You know, and you know, not just that, I'd say that this caliber is also pretty darn good. You know, it's got some special features, you know, that silicon technology that they have, and it really is extremely accurate. It's kind of Rolex accuracy that they've achieved with this thing here. And because, you know, despite all that is in here, it's not a noisy watch at all. You know, I mean, looking at this wrist, you might think, you know, people who don't know this brand, you might think that this is just another kind of standard dress watch, and you may not think that you need to pay that much for this one. So it's kind of a bit stealthy wealthy, which I do appreciate. It doesn't shout, look at me. It's really something that you have to appreciate if you know about it. You know, what can I say about this? You know, it is actually perfectly executed to how they want to execute it. You know, once again, I will point out that this maybe it's a bit regrettable. They could have done blue with white writing. That some people have complained about that, but there's really not much else to complain about. It's really just about accessibility at this price point. It's not for everyone, but if you can afford it, you know, apparently this is, you know, not a bad value watch to consider for what you're getting here. You know, of course, there's going to be a lot of alternatives you can consider with that much money. But if you want this watch with, you know, all the things that it comes with and the name, this is the price point that it sits at. So guys, let me know what you think. You know, my first Ulysse Nardin. If you have any Ulysse Nardin, I would love to hear about it, because this is not a brand that I see a lot. I think I have one colleague I know who has a Ulysse Nardin, but nobody else I know has had this watch so far in my circles. So guys, you know, let me know what you think. If you enjoy my videos, to consider subscribing. New content every week, always aiming to be objective and unbiased about all things horology. Thank you again for sticking with me, and as always, I'll catch you guys again next time.